Hey, thanks for joining me at Collecting Smoke. I am Razul Wallace, and today I'm going to get into the third property that I acquired. The third property I acquired, how I found it was I did a mailer and I mailed out about 300 letters or postcards to property owners. I got a response from probably about 40 or 50 of them. A lot of them were like, don't call me, take me off your list. Some of them were asking for unreasonable amounts of money, well over what the property is worth. But there were a few that were really solid, good opportunities. And I ended up just going with the best one. And this property, it was a 3-family. And the property owner had owned it about 10 years, but he didn't have a mortgage on it. I think he bought it for 75 and he just decided to sell it for 75. He hadn't done much work. I think he was someone who wanted to do all the work himself. He lived about 30 minutes away and I think he was just tired. So we came to terms. I bought it from him. He seller financed it because he had no mortgage. So we agreed to a $75,000 purchase price and $20,000 down. And where I was gonna get the funds was I think I'd saved 10. I had 10 in my retirement account. And so I was gonna use that for my $20,000 down. And I got my inspection done. And when we did the inspection, they found that the roof was leaking. It needed to be done right away. So I went back to the seller and I told him, I'm not gonna come down on the price at all. We'll keep the purchase price 75, but can I give you 10,000 down instead of 20,000? Because I need to pay 10,000 to get the roof done. That was the cost of it at that time, 2019. And he knew it needed to get done. That was probably part of why he was selling it, because he didn't want to have to bear that expense. So, but he agreed to the terms because I think he was kind of desperately ready to let it go. So I gave him the 10,000 down. I put 10,000 into a brand new roof, and I had one tenant that was paying. I want to say at the time, and we did a 10-year amortization on the 65,000 that was owed. So at the time, the payment was around 9 something each month. And then I was responsible to pay my own taxes and insurance separately. I don't exactly remember all the numbers at the time, but I had one tenant that was paying $800. Let me back up a little bit. 10,000 I paid down, 10,000 I paid for the roof, and then about almost another 10,000 I put on a credit card to renovate the 3rd floor unit that was vacant. The 1st and 2nd floor units were occupied. The 1st floor tenant paid sporadically, so I ended up having to evict him. The 2nd floor tenant, they were late, but they always paid in full each month, but they would be late and pay piece by piece. As I was getting the property stabilized, it took about a year to get it stabilized. The 1st floor tenant would pay sporadically and make promises to pay, and I would kind of try to give him a chance because it was a young kid, a nice kid, I liked him and everything, but so I got bits and pieces from him. The 2nd floor, I think, was giving me $650, and so I was getting $650, and then the first few months, I think I'd gotten the full $800 from the downstairs. So I was getting like $1,450 the first few months, which allowed me to pay the expenses for the property while I renovated the 3rd floor. Once I got the 3rd floor renovated, it took me about 2 months, and I got a tenant in there that was paying $800 a month. So I was getting $1,450 between the 2nd and 3rd floor, and sporadically getting bits and pieces from the 1st floor. Within a year of me owning the property, I evicted the 1st floor tenant, and I got another tenant in there that was paying $1,200. So at that point, about a year in, I got it pretty stabilized for rent-wise. And I think I was getting something like, I think I was close to $3,000 a month. So I was able to cover the expenses. I did have credit card debt from that also that I hadn't paid down. And, but after putting a new roof on it, renovating the first and the third floor units, I did refinance the property. And when I refinanced the property, they appraised it for 177. And a bank would give you, and remember I'd owed, at that point, I'd paid down the mortgage sum and I'd owed like 60. So they appraised it for 177. And when I did a cash out refi, they'll usually lend up to 70% of the after repair value. So they gave me 124. And of that 124, I had to pay back the old mortgage, that's 60. Finance charges killed me, that took about 10, but I got about 55,000 from the cash out refi. And so that mortgage right now is still about 1,200 and change, but the income now between all the units is about 3,700 a month. So that mortgage is 1,200, and the mortgage is 1,200, and the income is about 3,700. I probably set aside about 800 a month for repairs and maintenance, capital expenditures, and things like that. And then I probably can use 1,700 to personally. So that was probably my best deal. Just to review the numbers on that one, I bought it for 75 with 10 down, which means I owed 65. I put 10 from my retirement account and 10 from my credit card. So that's 30K I invested into the property to get it. And then I cash out refied about 1.5 years later and got 55. So I got my 30 back that I put into it, plus an additional 25. And those funds I used to put into the next property that I purchased. And I still have that property, and the mortgage right now, to be more exact, is $1,234. On average, I'll pay about $205 in utilities. So that's about approximately $1,440. And then I more or less split the remaining $2,300 between, what I'm able to net myself and funds that I'll keep in an account for vacancies, repairs, maintenance, and capital expenditures. So I would consider that a home run. Probably it's not the prettiest on the outside, because one thing that's still left to be done that I'll probably do in some time is the siding and probably the windows, but it has a new roof. Over the years, I've put in two new furnaces, 3 new water heaters, and it's just it's not the prettiest, but it is. The inside, I think, was well done, and the roof is done. The mechanicals are strong. The only thing that needs to get done really is the siding and windows, which I can do over time. But I think that is a home run, or very happy with that property. And the funds that I took from that property, I put into the house that I live in now to acquire this 2-family, which I'll get into. I use it as I live in one unit, and the other is used for short-term rentals, but I'll get into the numbers for that on another day. But I think that this illustration is another example of how beneficial I think owning property is. I hope that was clear. I know I talked a lot about numbers and I was kind of all over the place, but hopefully you were able to get the gist of what I was saying and understand what I'm saying. And I hope that it gives you some motivation to, start to invest, acquire some assets. Thank you for joining, and remember to rein yourself in.